Welcome to this ordinary council meeting for Thursday, the 12th of February 2026. Just a reminder that this meeting is being recorded and is live streamed on our council's YouTube site. If we can all stand for the opening council karakia.
Tutawa mai roa, tutawa mai raro, tutawa mai roto, tutawa mai waho. Kia tau ai te mauritu, te mauri ora, ki te katoa, haumi e, hui e, tāki e.
Right, I have apologies this morning for Councillor Mawson and Councillor Raihania. Just to note that they're actually out on other council business this morning, away at a course. So can I have a mover and a seconder to accept the apologies? Councillor Crystal, Councillor Price, all those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Passed. Are there any conflicts of interest to declare? Councillor Taylor.
Declare a conflict of interest in relation to one, the public forum, and also in relation to the public excluded paper later.
Yep, we'll note that down.
Regional Sports Park.
Yep. This morning we have a presentation with the public forum today, and what have we got here? I'd like to welcome Glenn Lucas, the General Manager of the Mitre 10 Sports Park, who's going to provide us some background for one of our papers that we have in public excluded later on. Come on. Also, yeah. Glenn, you could introduce the person you've got sitting with you as well, please.
Yeah, thank you, Richard.
Kia ora tātou, ko Glenn Lucas toku ingoa, he kaimahi ahau o te Hawke's Bay Regional Sports Park Trust. Thank you for the opportunity to come and present to you today. With me is Nigel Avery, who some of you may be familiar with. So he's the chair of the Hastings Athletics Club, and we've been working really closely with the Hastings Athletics Club, with Hawke's Bay Gisborne, on this entire project. So, yeah. Okay, so the paper
Recording in progress.
Please, can you just bring the mic?
Oh, yes. Is that better? Yeah, okay. So the paper that we've submitted through your team is seeking $30,000 towards the resurfacing of the regional athletics track. So the track itself is the only World Athletics certified all-weather track in Hawke's Bay, and actually the only one on the East Coast region. It opened in 2007, so it's still the original track. We've got our money's worth out of it. It's now 17, almost 18 years old, but it's time that it needs to be resurfaced. The renewal is needed to keep it safe and certified. I'll now pass over to Nigel, who'll talk about the next slide.
So thank you for your time and opportunity to speak.
Recording stopped.
We'll carry on?
Yes.
Okay. I guess, look, clearly it's the hub of athletics for the Hawke's Bay, and along with gymnastics, aquatic sports and team sports, athletics is a part of the fundamental physical literacy skills for children, and whether it be run, jump, throw as a 3 or 4 or 5 year old right through to into their teenage years, where they carry on with the sport of athletics or use those skills to transfer into other sports and just participate in healthy activity lifestyles for the rest of their life. It's a key thing. It's used extensively. My daughters compete there and I coach them. Every time I go there, it's busy. There's just people everywhere, to the point where we're having to manage users to make sure people don't run into each other when they're doing their training. So it's really good. However, the surface is 7 years past its time it should have been resurfaced. The risk of substrate degradation is starting to become real, where water ingress comes underneath the track surface, so it is definitely time. And I guess the International Athletics Federation have said that if it's not within a certain time period of being laid, we can't host certain levels of athletics meetings at an international thing. So it's really important from our perspective that this resurfacing takes place.
Okay, so the presentation, we've outlined the priorities of the project fund, and we're just going to go through some really high-level points around each of the priorities of the fund. So in terms of economic and social development, the facility does host major regional events like the Potts Classic. We've hosted Colgate Games recently. We've hosted the New Zealand Secondary Schools Championships. We've in the past hosted New Zealand Track and Field Champs, which is the biggest high-performance meet in the athletics New Zealand calendar. From an Athletics New Zealand perspective, the athletes themselves love our track. They love coming here. They love competing. The pole vault, the sprinters, all the middle distance runners, that they love coming here. And the value of that to the region in terms of economic bead nights, in terms of people coming and using our restaurants. Napier is the gateway to Hawke's Bay, so a lot of people coming through Napier to reach to come over to our facility. So it really does underpin sport and youth development as well, and there's tons of literature around the value of sport and recreation in terms of social return on investment. So it's a huge part of what we do. It does support everyday participation in healthy lifestyles. It is a freely available track to our community, and it's, as Nigel said, it's really frequently heavily used at all times of the day. And it really is a piece of infrastructure that connects our community.
So I guess it's not precisely a like-for-like replacement. There's a few little bits of innovation, one being the pole vault runway. Basically, we have a pit at one end. If the wind goes the wrong way, we have to physically uplift that pit and relocate it. So our plan is to extend the runways on each side so the pit can be in the centre of that approach. And then we're also putting in extra anchor points for accessible athletes to be able to participate in the throwing disciplines, shot discus and javelin. And so if you're not aware, an ambulant thrower and athlete, unlike a normal athletics event where they would rotate the different athletes throughout the order of throws, they are physically strapped to a very expensive seat. So they take all their throws at once, so they're not having to remove the athletes and replace them every time. And that seat is anchored down. So we're increasing that so that allows for increased accessibility for those people. I guess you catch up on the news about Sam Ruth. You come into town, Liza McCartney, pole vaulting. It's kind of a topical thing. Athletics is in a great space in New Zealand at the moment, and as Glenn said, they do love coming here. So I think it really does help create a lot of vibrancy for the area, and it's starting to become a bit of a word of mouth, and there's a lot more people attending the Potts Classic as an example to watch these key athletes. So bringing people to the region, lots of bed nights and whatnot, and I suppose in the athletic circles at least, as Glenn said and reiterating it, they do love coming here because it's warm, it's fine, the wind tends to go the right way for the sprinters and the jumpers, and it I guess keeps a bit of a vibrancy in the region. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the last talking point is really the strategic investment. So the total project worth is $856,000 plus GST. We have significant funding already secured. So there's a whole bunch of funding that we've managed to secure through our contribution of our financial reserves, through gaming and community trusts, through commercial sponsorship, and also through the Adopt a Metre campaign that we've been running for the last few months. And thank you for those that have jumped on and participated. So we have a $400,000 lottery community facilities fund, which really is the key trigger point in terms of whether this project happens or not, and that's due. The decision is due on the 18th of February, so within a week or so we shall know about that, and positive that it should be all systems go. That council support, that 30K, while it may seem a little bit small in terms of the total fund, it really will help us leverage significant external and community funding. It will help us to protect a high-use regional asset serving tens of thousands annually. And yeah, it's just a really important contribution that we could make to this regional facility to help us get this important project done.
Well, thank you again from my perspective for the opportunity to speak. Obviously, this project is close to my heart. And it's fundamental to the sport of athletics and sport in general. Lots of people go there for training, not just athletics. So, thank you again for your positive and hopeful consideration for this grant.
Yeah, and just to close, so this is a practical strategic investment in what is shared regional infrastructure. It ensures continued access for Napier residents, which are a pretty big part of the park itself and also specifically of the athletics track. We have a number of schools that use it for their school athletic days, and being the only all-weather track in the Hawke's Bay, club participation's around about 30-35% of the Hastings Athletics Club is from Napier. So we really appreciate your consideration and really happy to answer any questions you might have.
Are there any questions from the team?
Oh, yeah, I've got one. With the new track that's going, that you'd lay on there, what's the life of it? You know what I mean? And is the international people really keen on what you're doing with that, so that the life extends itself a bit?
Okay, I'll have the first crack at that, Nigel, and please add in if I miss anything important. So the estimated life of the rubber surfacing of the track is 10 to 12 years. So this investment will get us another 10 to 12 years worth of use out of the track. I mean, obviously this current one has lasted 17, 18 years, but it's intended to be 10 to 12 years to maintain that certification and to enable us to deliver these events that bring so many people to the region.
Yeah, and from the World Athletics perspective, I believe they need, for accreditation, the track to be within 8 years of laying to get the certain qualifications for certain events. So this resurface is a grind back of the layer, a reapply of an emulsion, and then chips over the top. I believe the next resurface will be a total peel up down to the substrate, to the asphalt, and then full relay.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for your time. Like I say, we'll discuss this later on as a council and let you know. Thanks for coming to talk to us.
Thank you.
Right. Right. Announcements by the Mayor. I'd just like to note down that Councillor Simpson is coming to us online today. Any announcements by management?
Yes, just one, that item 2 on the Onslow steps is going to be withdrawn for today's council meeting because we just need to seek some further information, but we will bring that back to you.
Thank you. Now, confirmation of the minutes. I'd just like to note a couple of amendments to the minutes from last time, and that was item 8 from the action points register. The motion was made by Councillor Mawson, not Morley, and item 10, tenders let, was Councillor Morley abstained. Can I have a mover and a seconder for the minutes with those changes in them? Councillor Brownlee and Councillor Taylor. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
That's moved. Calling for any minor matters. Councillor Taylor.
I'd just like to raise a minor matter related to agenda item 3, the reservoir. It doesn't relate to the procurement approach, but I'd like to have a short discussion on the development of a education or communication plan around the excessive use of water that seems to be part of our community, and how we can educate the community more on the need to store more water as a result of the consumption, and Napier is the highest consuming city, I believe, in New Zealand for water. So I'd just like a short discussion on that and maybe a communication plan that we can develop.
Yep, we can discuss that at the end of the agenda items. Just noting that. Right. Agenda item 1, Ahuru Mowai. This is to do with the council's project fund and 6-monthly update, and you'll find it on page 5 of your agenda. The presenters for this report are Margo Wilson and Roger Morrison. And just while these guys are coming up, welcome to Mark Cleary and the representatives of the Napier Homeless Shelter Society, who are also present to provide an update on the shelter since its opening in July 2025.
Kia ora. This report is about back in, for particularly those around the council table that weren't here back in May 2025. This council approved a grant of $100,000 from the Council Projects Fund to assist towards the setting up and the pilot of the establishment of a homeless shelter here in Napier. Just so that you were sort of aware how that was funded in terms of timing-wise, we were able to utilise the $62,000 of the budget up until the last financial year, and the balance of 38 was put into this financial year. But part of when that was done, it was agreed that the Homeless Shelter Society would report back to this council, and that's what they're here to do today. I won't introduce everybody because I'll leave that up to Mark Cleary on my right, and he can introduce everybody.
Ngā mihi kia koutou, and thank you very much for this opportunity to report back on what we believe has been a very successful trial. On my right, I've got Huria Broughton, who is the manager of Huru Mawai, Sam Abrahama, who is the CE of Whatever It Takes Trust, Pete Finley, who you all know. Pete's the driving force behind everything that happens around here. He's just got back from feeding out breakfast to the homeless whānau on the street. Phil Ross, who's the treasurer. Maxine Bogue, who most of you probably know as well, is our secretary. And Mandy Prendergast is the, one of the lead researchers for the evaluation report that you'll see in the report. So we thought we'd just quickly go through a presentation. Okay, cool.
Technical issues. Hold fire.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're cooking.
So the key element is that due to the generous funding from the project fund from the council and a major grant from ECCT, we were able to start operating at the beginning of July last year. We'll quickly go through some of the high points. And there they are. We have been very pleasantly surprised at what's been achieved. So it's evident to all of us that there is a growing problem with whānau, pounamu, rough sleeping within the city of Napier. Very little formally has been done, but we recognised and driven by Pete that we felt we had to do something. So as a society, we formed probably at the beginning of last year, just a group of people who were determined to do something. We initially thought we'd find just a safe place for 3 to 4 of our most vulnerable tāne. We were aware of deaths on the street, which was our main driving force. I'll let Huia speak to the overview of our operating model.
Kia ora te whānau. So Ahuru Mawai is built on strong operational foundations to ensure that that safety and dignity and consistency for our whānau. We support AMET. We're located at 370 Hastings Street in Napier, and we provide accommodation for up to 10 people in the whare. And, you know, the service operates 7 nights a week from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock in the morning. And, you know, we're all about a dry shelter and where there's no drugs or alcohol on site, and with check-ins on their arrival, just to ensure that there's safety for everyone in the whare. And so we have, you know, really amazing staff, you know, who are grounded in lived experience, trauma-informed and culturally responsive practice. We are we've got this beautiful kawa, which isn't just rules on the wall. They've been embedded by a collective approach from our whānau, where they've helped design their kawa and how they respect each other in the whare. And when we've had issues, we've always gone back to having huis and talking about, not punishment, but ways where we can support whānau through a restorative process.
And this is the key difference. I think most people, when they think of a homeless shelter, it's sort of a drop-in centre for people. What happens at Ahuru Mowai is very much there's a connection made between a group of men who have opted into the program, and they become part of the whānau, and they're the ones that we work with until they can move into permanent housing. So here are the raw statistics. So we've had 23 men through the shelter since we started operating in July. From September, we've had 100% room allocation. In other words, there have been always 8 men who have opted into, 8 or 9 men who have opted into the program. And then we've had 10, and this has been the big surprise for us, 10 have moved from Ahuru Mowai into permanent, self-sustaining housing. And that to us is the most significant thing. So Hui can talk more about this.
So restoring dignity and well-being beyond the numbers, looking at... Oh, sorry. Restoring dignity and well-being beyond the numbers are all the intangible outcomes that whānau are consistently reviewing their own well-being, and you can see the kōrero there that the environment has an impact on their well-being. The whānau kinship within the whare also helps build connection, and we've been doing quite a number of activities of late, reconnect the whānau to the wider community. We've had an amazing race in Ahuriri to reground themselves in what beautiful place Ahuriri is, to them and to others. Tikanga-based, whenua-based, the whenua. We've been out to Marama, and we've done horsemanship through one of our kaimahi, Hugh Carroll, who has horses out at his property there. And just recently we've taken 2 dives out at Aropaonui, learning about looking after our marine life, and what that looks like. We had a few guys that had a couple of undersized paua come back in. We've gone to MAF, we've done the learning, we've done the appropriate steps to make sure that our whānau are doing the best they can out in the community, not just with themselves, not just within the community, but the whenua that they live amongst.
So let's listen to what one of our whānau say. Whoops, no, we won't. Ben, can you play that? Just move forward when I...
Just move forward, okay.
Just need to stop being such a hermit.
Across Hawke's Bay, too many of our whānau are sleeping rough, facing cold nights, poor health and deep isolation.
Hey, listen, we'll skip the videos because that's actually not the one we were looking for.
As a community, we knew we had to act.
He says, hopefully.
That's why we created Ahuru Mowai, a warm, calm haven.
You don't want to hear me. So I'll full screen. How do I full screen this? Okay. So basically, There is a 6-minute video. There are short clips, and we'll send you a link after this meeting so you can take a look at that. We're very keen to share the voices of the tāne that have been there because they tell a very powerful and strong story. One of the key things is that we wanted some strong evaluation. So we have entered into a partnership with EIT, who have in fact gifted us a koha, which I would estimate to be in the area of about $50,000 to $60,000. Similar studies cost that much. They've gifted that work to us, and we're lucky to have Mandy here, who's one of the 2 researchers. But they've clearly, the reports, their evaluation is included in our report, and there's some really strong statements there that I'd urge you to have a quick read through. But they really emphasise the fact that the shelter is a home. It's not a shelter. It's not a DOS house. It's very much somewhere where tāne can belong. So the money is here. It's pretty transparent. We're so grateful to Napier City Council and the Eastern and Central Community Trust. We're a little nervous about the next steps. We see huge success, but we're not sure where we go to next. You'll see in the report quite a detailed outline of what we're doing to get more money. So where do we want to go? So we're keen. We need to, as a society, we need to secure sustainable funding, and we need to guarantee our staffing. Look, we run an incredibly lean operation. We have an amazingly committed staff, and to be honest, we get more than 100% out of them. If you look at our numbers and our hours of operation, and the people that we staff, they really work to the max. Sam and Pete have both had to go in and sort of cover gaps when there's been illness and things like that. We are incredibly conscious that there is a significant wahine whānau Pounamu group, and we want to cater for them, and at the moment we're not. We took a really pragmatic decision just to look after men. It hurts, but we know that there are significant numbers of wahine and young people. The rangatahi are hidden. They're the ones who are much more likely to be couch surfing, going from home to home. But the sad thing is we do know if they hit the streets, they're incredibly vulnerable. They will become addicted unless they're looked after fairly quickly. So we've got clear pathways of where we want to go. Look, and I think I'll stop the presentation there and just open up to any questions.
Councillors, any questions? Nothing.
Could I just add that once our whānau are placed into a home, it doesn't all just stop there. It actually begins. So proud to say we've got 1 whānau in full-time employment, another 2 in part-time employment. We've got others doing voluntary work. So we put a support group around them to check in, to stay connected, to continue their Hua Oranga wellness plan, which is full of goals, their goals. And it's a journey, right? And I think it tells an amazing story from chronically homeless to now employed working, to part-time working, to volunteering, to connecting with our community in a way that they've never connected before. They've become trusting, they've become reliable, all of those traits that you and I feel are life beyond ahu. They check back in to Ahuru Mowai as tuakana, as leaders. So it's only beginning when they leave. So it's fantastic, and I think, if we want to talk point of difference throughout the country, we've got some key areas that we are clearly defining. So yeah, please help us.
Councillor Lawrence.
I think what an amazing initiative. My question is, in terms of sustainability at present, what sort of advocacy have you got with central government and finding some pathways there, and how can council help towards that advocacy as well, waving the flag?
Yeah, we're pretty constant communication with the local MP. She's working hard to get us access to either Minister Bishop, who has the housing portfolio, or Minister Potaka, who is an Associate Minister of Housing. We're deeply concerned that there was a $20 million homeless fund established in September last year, but it excluded 90% of the country. It was only available to Auckland, Wellington, Christchurch and Hamilton. We're just asking for a tiny little bit of that pūtea. And I'll also, we make ourselves pretty present. You know, Katie's very aware of the homeless whānau because they're on her doorstep. But we have tried very hard. We hosted a very successful breakfast in early November with the 5 regional leaders of the major government organisations. That was MHUD, KO, MSD, I forget who the other 2 were, but we certainly made it very clear of what we're doing. What's important is we also get out and show the work that Ahuru Mowai isn't doing. One of the clips I desperately wanted to show was an initiative that Pete has during the day that's not just for the tāne in Ahuru Mowai, but it's for all whānau Pounamu, and that is he's established a garden out of Whakatū using land gifted by Kaupāti whānau, and that's providing real purposeful activities along with the ones that Huia mentioned, such as the diving, the horse riding, and so on. What we find is our whānau are incredibly vulnerable between 8 in the morning and 4 or 5 in the afternoon when they come to us. So they're crying out for purposeful, meaningful activities to do. So we're working very hard to engage with that. Pete's also involved in a really strong, totally voluntary food security initiative. He's liaising with some of the other more formal organisations, such as Open Door at Trinity Church. But Peter and a couple of his, well, usually one other friend, and often with Maxine, take porridge round every morning to whānau Pounamu in the street. So Pete's up every morning, makes the porridge, takes it out, delivers it, and 2 evening meals a night, so that there is some food security out there. So a long answer, but we make certain central government knows. We you know, the government talks a lot about local initiatives and localism. We're trying to, if we can get an ear, we want a minister, we will tell them this is a local initiative. You'll see from the Appendix 2 in the report, we've got an incredibly strong society grouping that's supporting this.
I would just like this stage to talk of the development of the whānau that have gone into the shelter. Now it's got to the stage where I don't always have to be at the gardens because we're here today. 2 of the whānau have gone out. They're going to check the watering, shift the watering and do some clearing. They'll do that on their own initiative. They'll come back when they're finished. And that's really independence for those boys. A big move. The same thing with the porridge now in the mornings. I'll have one of the whānau from the whare, they'll come with me. I'll sit in there and they'll interact with their homeless comrades on the street. And that's the best way to get that confidence. Those who are on the street don't trust authority, but they will trust those boys from the shelter that have been there and done that. And they can show them a better journey. And really that's the essence of what we're about.
So if Minister Bishop is here on the 20th of February and he doesn't meet with us, it would be great if each one of you, if you do have the opportunity of meeting with him, if you could advocate for Ahuru Mowai. I'll send you a link today with a video that really clearly shows the voices of the men. You know, we can talk, but if you listen to the men who've been through the program and who are now re-establishing really successful connected lives, they're reconnecting with their family, they're reconnecting with their hapu and iwi, reconnecting with their whenua, and it's making a big difference. They're becoming contributing citizens. Thank you.
I have a question as well. Firstly, congratulations. 10 people in 6 months is an amazing achievement, so congratulations to all of you for achieving that. Peter, I just want to go on the end of your conversation about the influence of the tuakana have in the roles that they carry out into the wider community. Can you give me some examples of that influence? So obviously I'm referring to your tuakana from Ahuru Mowai. They must be influencing a lot of the whānau pounamu that are still on the street. Would that be what I heard? And maybe a couple of examples of that. Or anyone else from the Ropu.
Oh, kia ora. So we have whānau pounamu and our whānau that are housed. They've been gifted the name of whānau Pautama. Whānau have made steps towards their healing journey, and part of that healing is going back to the whare, going back to a place that they've called home for a short amount of time, but in the community they still haven't made their place there. They'll continue to come back if they're hungry, if they're lonely, if they want to come back and support the whare, and that could be by way of cleaning or strengthening relationships with their brothers that are still in the whare about how life is on the outside, and building that self-esteem around you can do it too, I've done it, you can do it too. Coming along on the trips is another good kaupapa for our whānau who have moved out, because they've often become lonely and don't feel like they can continue to share their story over and over again with people who don't understand. And once they get out in a group together and they start meeting different people and they start really appreciating each other as a whānau, and they want to share more about where they've been and what their journey's been like, instead of feeling whakamā about being homeless. They've been wanting to share more about it.
Tēnā koe. And I only asked that question mainly because I needed people to hear our whānau pounamu, as you know, more so than I do, are very select in who they want to be around and who they let into their worlds. So it is an amazing achievement to me that you have them. Also now, those particularly who have become tuakana, going back out into the community and growing that need and desire that they have to feel part of the community again. So I congratulate you all.
Right. Thanks, team, for coming to present this to us today. I can just imagine the amount of work you guys are putting into this, literally day and night. So well done for our community, and keep doing what you're doing. Yeah.
Right. Therefore, the recommendation is that council receive this 6-month update from the Ahuru Mowai project pilot. Let's hope it's not a pilot.
Right. Do I have a mover and a seconder for the officer's recommendation? Councillor Lawrence and Councillor Isaac Sharlin. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
And that's passed. Thank you.
Thanks, Roger.
Wait till they do. Again, noting that agenda item 2 has been withdrawn, so we'll be heading to agenda item 3, which is the Mataruaho Reservoir and proposed procurement approach, and that's on page 10 of the agenda. And the presenters for this report are Saeed and Bex. Oh, we've got an extra. It's Steve. Right.
Kia ora, everyone. We take the report as read, so we'll go through a few slides with you to explain the project for the procurement approach for the reservoir. As you can see on the screen, I'll quickly describe what we are planning to do. The 2 tanks on the left are the tanks we are proposing to construct. The one on the right is a future tank. You will see a small pump station on the right as well, and quite an intensive piling structure under the site. Each tank is roughly the size of 4 Olympic-sized swimming pools, 9 million liters each, 40 meters in diameter and 10 meters tall. So the purpose of this paper is to seek endorsement from Council on the procurement approach for the construction of the 2 tanks and associated pipeworks within the site. The approach is 2-staged. Registration of interest, which will be an open tender, followed by a closed tender to the shortlisted suppliers. Just to note that the procurement plan does not commit Council to financial expenditure. Background on the project. The picture on the left is the existing Enfield Reservoir, which is nearing the end of its design life. It's more than 85 years old. The proposal is that we build 2 tanks to double our storage capacity on the hill. The new structure will be designed for resilience of an importance level 4, which means that it must stay operational after a major earthquake event, and it'll be designed for a design life of 100 years. The site will also have educational space, where the 3rd proposed tank is for the future. So that could be used as an educational space, native plantings, access to public, and it will be landscaped to match with the surrounding area and also the botanical gardens.
Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Beck Smiley tōku ingoa. My name is Beck Smiley. I'm the Capital Investments Planner in Water Services. I'm just going to talk to you about the procurement approach and how we got to that decision. So we looked at 3 options for delivery. So option 1 was the 2-stage approach, the option 2, a single-stage open tender, and option 3 was the direct engagement. So the 3rd option we discounted pretty early because it doesn't fit with our procurement policy. It's not open and transparent and can be a high cost risk as there's no competitive tension. The 2nd stage, the option 2, wasn't preferred as we're also finishing the detailed design. So with option 1, the 2-stage, we can actually go to the market and stretch out the process for procurement. So it's not so much of a, I don't want to say burden, but so much of a process for the contractors as well as the staff. And so once we get the detailed design, we can actually do the RFT documents, the tender documents, which are quite detailed. So that was another benefit for option 1, is that 1st stage registration of interest is simple. It's open to everybody to apply based on skills and experience. Maybe I'll go to the next slide, So this is just a bit more detail about that recommended 2-stage procurement. So the 1st stage registration of interest is advertised on GETS and anybody can apply. That's going to focus on skills, experience, health and safety record. And then that will give us a shortlist, and from that shortlist we can actually do a bit of further engagement with that smaller pool of contractors so that we can actually be clear on our requirements, what we want. They can ask questions. It's just a little bit easier to do with a smaller pool, and the better contract documents for the RFT process, the better we will end up with everyone clear on the same requirements, and the pricing will cover everything, and we'll end up with a good contract and limited variations. So that 2nd stage RFT, we can also look at opportunities such as local economic benefit. And then that award of that contract, once we have a preferred supplier, will come back to council for the final award. I think I've covered off a lot of this, but yes, the 2-stage approach, it's transparent, so it's open to anyone to apply. It's a simple process for the market and for council. it's got we're able to work with that smaller pool to sort of just further delve into the technical complexity and make sure we get the best value, the best fit contractor. It reduces risk because we also have the two evaluations. So once we've done a registration of interest, we have that opportunity to delve deeper into the responses that we've received and, mitigate any of those risks that we see. And also it's value for money, it's competitive, and also that whole two-stage process, we can refine exactly what it is we want and get best value, best contractor fit. Thank you.
Right. Any questions from the team? Deputy Mayor Crown.
Thank you, through the chair. A couple from me, so please bear with.
Yep.
Thanks, team. So firstly, in the project timeline, so what I heard from your kōrero was that once we endorse the procurement plan, when is the next gateway that we will see something come back to us in that timeline?
I can quickly go through the project timeline and also the gateways.
Could you just let me know where, so if we endorse the project, the procurement approach today, when is the next time something comes back to us? Is it when the contract is awarded, or is it when the procurement plan and the tender docs approval? I'm just trying to understand where our decision points are along this timeline.
So it will be at the award, but our plan is, which is in the next slide, to come to council every 6 weeks with an update. And if you require more hold points for approval, we are happy to do that. But the plan is every 6 weeks we'll bring an update.
Cool, amazing, thank you. That's really good to know. I just wanted to delve a little deeper into one of the points that you made around, I suppose, the local economic benefit, which I think is really important and of great interest to our community at the moment. So at the moment, I want to understand, I guess, the interaction with our procurement policy, because it allows us to set criterion around local suppliers. So how is that going to be reflected in the documents, or is that something that you're considering as part of the preparation of the procurement documentation?
Through the chair, I can answer that question. So at the moment, we're just looking for endorsement for approach, but the next step will be that finalisation of the procurement plan, where we will look into the evaluation criteria. We do that on a risk-based evaluation. We look at the risks and how we can best address those risks with the procurement, but we also look at the opportunities as well, like local benefit. Those criteria and the weightings will be set by the tender evaluation team. There will be an economic benefit weighting or a criteria for that. And we usually, this is not to say we'll do it with this one because that hasn't been decided yet, but we usually do ask the contractors to give a schedule of how that they would provide economic benefit to Hawke's Bay. And then we've recently updated our contract documents so that there is actually a schedule in our contract documents where we insert that the information they give us in the procurement process and the tender into the contract so that it's tracked and measured and can be reported on.
Fantastic, thank you.
Councillor Crystal.
Through the Mayor, just as part of this project, it says completion in 2028, and being commissioned, is that reliant also on the Rising Main project being done for it to be commissioned?
Through the chair, so it relies on Borefields as well as Rising Mains. So next month we'll be bringing the Borefields paper and hopefully the Rising Mains soon after that.
So then they will work in conjunction at the same time?
All three projects need to be finished around a similar timeline, yes.
Okay, great. We've been doing this since 2020, so it's very exciting to actually see this happening, so thanks.
Councillor Price.
Yeah, just to clarify, we're going to double our storage on the hill, but we're going to link with Taradale so water can flow either way?
Through the chair, yes. So the Taradale Reservoir and the new Mataroho Reservoir will be connected, yes. It can gravitate from the new reservoir to Taradale Reservoir and also pump from Taradale to Mataroho.
Thank you.
Councillor Morley.
Through the Mayor. Option 1 seems to be limited to shortlisted and qualified or preferred contractors. Would it be correct that if we went with option 2, we would capture all of the option 1 tenders and also have smaller tenders, contractors that may be more cost effective and hold the more expensive contractors with greater overheads, more true to tender costs?
Through the chair. So option 1 is still open to anybody that, because it's an open process, it's published on GETS, that anybody can respond to that registration of interest, and it will be based on skills, experience, and things like health and safety records and insurance criteria. There is no number for that shortlist. We don't usually say we're going to select the top 3. We just take through the people that can meet the criteria that we require for delivery of this construction project.
Yeah, thanks.
Deputy Mayor Crown.
Thank you, through the chair. Could you explain to me how, the makeup of the tender evaluation team, please?
Through the chair, we haven't agreed on it, but very likely the project owner, which is Steve, would be one, and potentially I could be a second one. But again, we usually go for at least 3 as part of the tender evaluation team, but we haven't agreed on the 3 yet.
And so just for clarification, all internal, no independent member to that evaluation team at all?
Through the chair. We also usually have a price analyst as well that will focus on the price evaluation to do their apples for apples comparison. And quite often we might have a the designer representative on the panel. The makeup of this panel hasn't been fully agreed yet, but there is a list of a few that we will work out through the procurement plan process.
And so that would form the information that you provide to people that make it to stage 2, if we were to endorse the 2-stage approach, then that would be provided to them, the makeup of the tender evaluation and all the criterion and how they're going to be assessed, their proposal will be assessed?
Yes, we don't usually give the names of the people that are on, but their roles, just to sort of make sure there's no conflict of interest, well, no discussion with the panel outside of the tender process. But yes, we would be publishing with the tender documentation the process that we would be following, and
And one final supplementary, if I may, Mr. Chair. Is there any precedent or example of having an elected member as part of the tender evaluation panel? I seem to think that we may have had someone involved in other projects, perhaps not in the water space.
So through the chair, obviously I'll let Bex get into the details. That's not usual practice that I've seen, because that can put you in a very difficult position to be part of that. So it's not something we would normally encourage.
Through the chair, I have not been involved in a process like that. The only time I've seen that is when we've reported back updates.
Yeah, I can only. Well, it sounds a good theory. It could compromise that member going forward, making decisions into the future with other parts of it. It'd be hard to keep clean. Yeah, no, I know. I absolutely agree with that. It could just create some issues. Right. Any further questions? No. Right. Do I have a mover and a seconder for the officer's recommendation? Councillor Price? Councillor Crystal? Right. Would you like to discuss that?
Just briefly, I think we've discussed it quite well here, that this has been a work going for a little while, and it's good to see it's coming to an end, or a start to the end. And obviously water security, a big thing for us that we've been working on for a long time. And this is a real stake in the stand. Move on. Thank you.
Councillor Crystal?
Yeah, just as I said, since 2020 we bought this land, so this project has been going for a while. I know there's a few members of the community who have been making some noise about it, so hopefully this will quieten the noise a little bit, that we are moving forward with this. And yeah, water has been a big part of my time on council and all the projects we're doing, and finally the projects seem to be happening, so it's pretty exciting. Go 2026 and the future. So yeah, thanks team.
Councillor Crown?
Thank you.
Councillor Crown. Deputy Mayor Crown?
Councillor Crown's fine. Thank you, Mr Mayor. Also speaking in support of the officer's recommendation, obviously my line of questioning today really focused on the local economic benefit, and that is something that I really look forward to seeing come back strongly through the procurement plan and carried right through. I spend a lot of time talking to industry, talking to people who are in the, economic advocacy space, really concerned about where we are in the economic cycle, and being able to make sure that our public investments actually serve our people and our businesses as best as possible is a really important part of significant projects like this. So I'm really supportive of the two-stage approach, and yeah, looking forward to seeing what it means as well as a multiplier to our community.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Very well said. Very well said. Right, we've had 3 speak for. Does anyone like to speak against the motion? If not, I'll put the motion forward. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried.
Thank you.
Kia ora.
Yeah, very well said. Agenda item 4, elected member appointments, which is on page 31 of the agenda. And the presenter for the report this morning is Anna Eadie. Thank you, Anna. All yours.
Kia ora. Through the chair, the purpose of this report is to approve the appointment of elected members to the Hawke's Bay Museum Trust and the newly formed Coastal Hazards Advisory Group. Those appointments being Councillor Crystal to the Hawke's Bay Museum Trust and Councillors Brownlee and Price to the Coastal Hazards Advisory Group. Happy to take questions.
Any questions?
Move.
Oh, cool. I have a mover and Deputy Mayor Crown. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Taylor. Would you guys like to speak to that?
I'd just like to make one comment, if I may. That is, the boys are already doing the work. It's been amazing to see them committed and showing up. I know Napier is very well represented at those meetings where perhaps some of our partners are less so. And Councillor Crystal is an excellent fit for the Museum Trust. So kia ora.
There we go.
I fully endorse those comments.
Microphone.
I fully endorse those comments. They're very well selected and they're right up their alley. Well done.
Anyone else like to speak for or against? Right. I'll put the motion forward. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Right. Agenda item 5. Action register as of the 27th of January 2026, and that's on page 43 of your agenda. The presenter again is Anna Eadie.
Through the chair, take the report as read. Happy to take questions.
Any questions? No. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Crystal, Councillor Lawrence, would you guys like to speak to this?
No, it's fine, thank you.
No? Anyone else? No? Right, I'll now put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Agenda item 6, Anna's up again, and this is Local Government New Zealand report, July to December 25, and it's on page 47 of your agenda. All yours, Anna.
Thank you. Through the chair, this report is to provide the LGNZ 4-monthly report for member councils for the period July to December 2025. If elected members have questions, I can take those back to LGNZ. Thanks.
All right, can I have a mover and a seconder to receive the report? Question?
No question, please.
Back the truck up, okay.
Thank
Deputy
you.
Mayor Crown.
Through the chair. As part of preparation for our LTP next year, I was wondering whether there could be an assessment done by our staff on the advocacy positions of LGNZ and whether there's any direct cost or regulatory cost associated with some of the things that they're talking about. I just thought it would be a helpful context for us to consider when we're going through our planning. So, yeah, more an action, I suppose, a request for an action rather than a question.
Can we note that as an action?
Thank you.
Any other questions from the team? No? Can I call for a mover and a seconder? Councillor Brownlee and Councillor Crystal. Would you like to speak to that? No? That's Crystal. Anyone else?
I actually found it quite interesting to read. If those of you have not read it, there's some stuff in there I did not know.
There you go.
It's very comprehensive.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone else like to speak for or against the motion? No. I'll now put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Agenda item 7, official information requests as at the 26th of January 2026. It's on page 17 of the agenda. And the presenter again is Anna Eadie.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, this is information just for your awareness. Happy to take any questions.
Any questions from the team?
Yeah.
Councillor Brownlee.
Through the chair, there seems to be, is that a normal amount of that have come through the system in this? Because it seems to be a lot there.
Yeah, through the chair, the way I'm presenting this information is to show the individual requests once they're closed out. So if they haven't been completed, I keep them on the list for the next meeting. This list includes ones from the end of last year, which were still being worked on over the Christmas period. There's a two-week, I think, shutdown period over Christmas. So it extends the statutory time frame of those ones that come in just before Christmas, and so that might be why it appears quite long. But at the time of this report being written, we'd only received 8 for the 2026 year. They're coming in steadily, but we don't have an excess of requests at the moment.
Thanks, Anna.
Any further questions? Do I have a mover and a seconder for the officer's recommendation? Councillor Price and Councillor Lawrence. Yep. Would you like to speak to that?
No, I'm quite happy.
Quite happy. Right. Anyone else for or against in speaking? Right. I now put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
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 Against? Carried. Agenda item 8, proposed amendment to the 2026 schedule of meetings. That's on page 74 of your agenda, and Anna is still with us.
Yeah. Through the chair, there's just one meeting to add to the resolution or the recommendation, that being a new meeting of the Ahuriri Regional Park Joint Committee on the 16th of March. I'm happy to take questions.
No questions, discussion? Right, can I have a mover and a seconder for the officer's recommendation, please? Councillor Brownlee, Councillor Taylor, would you like to speak to that? No?
No.
Anyone like to speak for or against? I now put the motion, and for the recommendation, all those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Agenda item 9, summary of Risk and Assurance Committee recommendations for ratification and minutes from 4th of December 2025 meeting, and that's on page 77 of your agenda. Again, the presenter is Anna Eadie. Seems to be the only one doing some work around the place.
Yeah. At least my reports are fast. Yes, the purpose of this report is to receive the minutes from the Risk and Assurance December committee meeting, and to ratify item number 5's recommendation from the committee.
Right. Any questions or discussion from the team? Do I have a mover and a seconder for the officer's recommendation? Deputy Mayor Crown and Councillor Taylor, would you like to speak to that? No? Would anyone like to speak to this? No? Okay, I put the motion forward. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Now we have the minor matter to talk to of Graham's. Oh, sorry, Councillor Taylor's.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just raised it because we had that paper in relation to the reservoir and the importance of the 3 projects all running together. I think there's a perception within the community that when it rains, why do we need to continue to have water restrictions on, hosing level 3? We hear it constantly every day on the radios where we're at. And actually, when you move around the city, there's not a lot of great people who actually take much notice of those water restrictions. And I think we need to incorporate or have a media program and education to outline and educate the community why water restrictions are necessary and what is the underlying reason for that. And it's a pretty simple thing. When you actually use more water than you can take out of the ground at a particular time, you're going to run low. So we have to restrict that use, and Napier has a habit of being very free in their use of their water, and you see it. People with sprinklers going all day, all afternoon on the lawn. You see water going onto the footpath and running down and into the drain. So I just think it's an opportunity for us to link it through with the development of the reservoirs and the need for our to be more appropriate use of our water at this time of the year. So I just think it's an opportunity for us to link these programs and these things together with maybe some education to the community.
Yeah, 100% agree. I recall going to a very small town in the back of Waikato 6 or 7 years ago, and they were at their teams were at markets educating the community on water. And I think it's probably something we've missed in Hawke's Bay, and now's probably a really good time. Like you say, the timing's possibly right to put that message across of why we have these restrictions. Yeah.
Thank you. So could we have an action point for a a paper to come to council outlining an education program, a media program that we can link. I see already coming up that we've got a media release prepared in relation to the reservoir system, and so maybe we could link those two together.
So you...
Through the chair, so it's great that you bring it up. So over the last 12 months, we've been working on a water demand management strategy for Napier. We'll be bringing it to the council next month, and it's a multi-year program, and the first focus of that is education. So it's good to see you're already thinking of that. And we analyzed at least 6 scenarios, which we'll be presenting and giving our recommendations on the way forward. So in a couple of weeks.
When will we be receiving that?
We will be bringing it on 6th of March, 5th of March.
6th of March.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yep. So we've noted that as an action point, and we'll see how the two line up and let's make it happen.
Yep. Thank you.
It's probably timing is quite essential of that. I think if you're going down into the autumn, if you're trying to educate people on water usage, they're probably not using as much water. So it might be next year's thing to do, or put on the table to do before it all happens, you know? Yeah.
Councillor Morley.
Completely agree with the previous speakers. We've been through a waste minimisation process. It would be great to see a water minimisation education and process as well.
Yeah, correct. So we've noted that down as an action plan, and we'll see how it bounces off the plan that you guys have got as well. And we'll just go maybe talk to some of our other partners in the region as well and see what we can jointly achieve. Yep.
Through the chair, we are also talking with Hastings because they have a water demand management strategy also, and seeing how we can align.
Great. Right. You're off the hook.
Thank you.
Right. Yes.
Coming nearer.
Right. Moving on to the recommendation to exclude the public. We'll now move into the public excluded section of the meeting. Can I please have a mover and a seconder that the public excluded following parts of the proceedings of this meeting, namely agenda items, Council Projects Fund, Hawke's Bay Regional Sports Park Athletics Track Upgrade, and the minutes of the Risk and Assurance Committee meeting held the 4th of December 2025. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Deputy Mayor Crown and Councillor Crystal, would you like to speak to that?
No, thank you.
No, thank you. I'll now put the motion on the floor. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried.